From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024. As intense battles continue in Gaza between Israeli troops and terror group Hamas, the IDF announced that 51-year-old warrant officer in reserve Sebastian Chayon was killed today during the IDF's ongoing operation against Hamas at Gaza City's Shifa hospital. The IDF gave an update on the operation in Shifa, where, as we reported to you yesterday, Israeli forces entered after receiving intelligence that high-level Hamas terrorists were hiding and operating from the compound. In the last 24 hours, the IDF said special forces have eliminated over 50 terrorists in close-quarter combat, apprehended approximately 180 suspects, and located weapons while avoiding harm to civilians, staff, and medical equipment. Well, talks in Qatar continue today to try and reach an agreement between Israel and Hamas for the release of hostages now held for 165 days. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is heading back to the Middle East to try and push these efforts along. Blinken will be in Saudi Arabia tomorrow, Wednesday, and then in Egypt on Thursday. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller was cited as saying that the secretary will discuss efforts to reach an immediate ceasefire agreement that secures the release of all remaining hostages, intensified international efforts to increase humanitarian assistance to Gaza, and coordination on post-conflict planning for Gaza, including, he said, ensuring Hamas can no longer govern or repeat the attacks of October the 7th. Speaking from the Philippines today about the trip and agreement efforts, Secretary of State Blinken made it clear that the onus was on Hamas.
Of course, this is something brought about by Hamas, by its actions on October 7th, and by its actions ever since. This could have, as I've said repeatedly, been over many months ago if Hamas had put down its arms, stopped hiding behind civilians, released the hostages, and the world has been relatively silent on that ever since.
Also stressing Israel's obligation to protect civilians in Gaza as it defends itself against Hamas. More now on the phone call yesterday between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. President Joe Biden. The White House released a readout of the conversation, saying in part that the president and the prime minister discussed ongoing hostage negotiations taking place in Qatar. They also discussed the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Biden reiterated his deep concerns as well about the prospect of Israel conducting a major ground operation in Rafah, affirmed the need to defeat Hamas in Gaza while also protecting the civilian population and facilitating the safe and unhindered delivery of assistance throughout Gaza. The White House said the two agreed to have their teams meet soon in Washington to exchange views and discuss alternative approaches that would target key elements of Hamas and secure the Egypt-Gaza border without a major ground operation in Rafah. The Times of Israel reports that Netanyahu told the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee today that he and Biden disagree on the matter of a Rafah operation. He said, "I made it clear to the president in our conversation in the clearest way that we are determined to complete the elimination of these battalions in Rafah," saying there is no way to do it except by going in on the ground. Former Israeli Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology Ophir Akunis will be the new Consul General of Israel in New York. The consulate wrote of Akunis, "We are confident he will serve as a strong advocate for Israel and the Jewish people, working tirelessly to defend the truth and promote unity." Well, a Jewish-owned kosher cafe on New York City's Upper West Side was targeted this weekend with hateful graffiti and red paint. Messages found spray-painted outside Effie's Cafe Sunday morning included "Form line here to support genocide." Volunteers in the neighborhood quickly showed up the next morning to clean up, and customers came out to show their support, including New York Congressman Jerry Nadler, who wrote, "Targeting a small business because of who it's owned by, Israeli, Palestinian, or any other group, is not only wrong, it's self-defeating. The recent attack on Effie's Cafe," he said, "is a cowardly act of anti-Semitism that cannot and will not be tolerated in our community." The incident, which is just the most recent in a line of similar incidents, is said to be being investigated by the New York Police Department's Hate Crimes Task Force. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, March the 19th at 7 o'clock. Rabbi Ammiel Hirsch gives a sermon to his community. At 7:30, Rabbi David Froman speaks about some of the mysteries of Purim. At 8, Justin Pines is joined by Torah teacher and sociologist of American Jews Mijal Bitton to explore who or what is Amalek, the evil tribe that attacked Israel from behind in the desert and launched millennia of anti-Semitism, and how we think about Amalek this year in particular. At 9, H. Alan Scott is on L'chaim. At 10, a replay of Purim Mysteries, and then a replay of this newscast. And coming up next, the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. I will be away for a week and see you back here on Wednesday, March the 27th. Be well. Am Yisrael Chai.